what is going on here? Welcome to RCAM. Sorry about that technical error. But we are live, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. So today we are going to be discussing a elementary school that was that has just gotten in trouble, gotten caught drugging 4-year-olds. You heard me right. Two elementary school teachers have been drugging 4-year-olds. This is crazy town. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the devolution of dating and how even though we have more options in the world because of online dating, it doesn't seem to be working out quite the way that we had thought. So we'll talk about that. And we will also discuss Tim Wall's new effort to pander and what a fail that is. In addition, we'll talk about the cancellation of the show Velma, because who could have seen that coming? I mean, really? What? I'm shocked. And we'll if we have time, we'll get into this Blaze article about Bluey that I just thought missed the mark. So we'll talk about all that today and more on RCAM. If you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. That helps me out a great deal, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you are following me on Rumble, type RCAM into the search bar, and my name or my page should come up. So that would be great. So go ahead and do that and support me. That'd be awesome. All right, why is this not capturing? Right. No. Oh, video page. This is it, but it's not coming up. All right, let's see. All right, I think we're good now. We're good. No. Let me pull up my stories. Hey guys. All right, here we go. All right. So this is from Libs of TikTok. So 2 teachers were put on leave at Spring ISD Elementary School in Texas after they reportedly gave students sleeping drug patches without notifying parents. Police are now investigating. All right, let's listen to this.
New tonight, parents of some pre-K students in Spring are outraged after they say some teachers have been giving their children sleep patches at school.
In an email sent to parents today, the school saying Spring ISD police now investigating. Matt Doherty is talking to some of those parents tonight. He joins us live in Spring. Matt.
Yeah, the parents say that 2 teachers and 2 aides have been suspended so far. Still, they don't feel comfortable sending their kids back to school. What happened with the sticker?
The sticker makes me fall asleep.
This is 4-year-old Lane Luviano. She's the one that broke this case open in September when she snuck one of her sleepy stickers out of the classroom.
She kind of pulled up her little shorts and said, "Mom, look, this is my sleeping sticker." And I was like, "The what?"
When Lane's mom, Lisa, saw the sticker, she thought it was strange and asked her daughter about it.
And the teacher gives it to you, where she put it?
On my arm.
On your arm? Which part? Point to it. Right up there?
Yeah.
And what's it look like?
Sleeping with a moon on it.
Lane's dad says he's known something was wrong since school first started.
2 o'clock in the morning, I'm hearing her. Some noise in the room, and I'm going over there. She's still up.
And so she gives you the sticker. You put the sticker on, and it makes you tired?
Yeah.
Wow. And all the kids get them?
Yeah.
They never notified the parents.
So Lisa took matters into her own hands. She reached out to the other parents in Lane's class, sent them pictures of the patch to see if their kids were getting the stickers too.
I showed it to my 4-year-old, and she said, yes, that's the sleepy sticker.
Melissa Guilford immediately went online to research the sticker.
Sleep Z patch. Okay, So, and if you read the ingredients on them, it has a lot of, it's just things I've never even heard of.
And they're giving them drugs to make them sleep, to keep them quiet.
Najala Abdullah tells us she'd noticed changes in her son, who told her he'd been getting the stickers too. She says he'd been crying, stopped eating, and was bringing home lunches that he hadn't touched. The parents shared with us an email they received from Northgate Crossing Elementary's principal today. The email states 2 of the school staff members were put on leave after they allegedly administered sleeping supplements to students on September 24th. The email also states the Spring ISD Police Department is investigating.
Do you think it could be a crime?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
These people should go to jail. They should straight up go to prison for child endangerment. And this to me looks like an ad for homeschooling, by the way, because that's stuff that you don't ever have to worry about when, unless you put your kids in public school and are entrusting them to the care of strangers who could possibly be drugging them. This is insane to me. It's just wild. So this is the original report. So the parents said their kids were given sleepy stickers to make them fall asleep while they were at school. They said their children told them they were given sleepy stickers that would make them fall asleep. So this is just recapping, honestly, just the video that we just watched. But this is the patch here on Amazon. And it's well, they say it's drug free, all right, but the ingredients in it, melatonin, yes, it's a naturally occurring, but this is not the natural way you get melatonin. You don't give it, but you don't children typically produce it on their own while they sleep, and they don't need their teachers drugging them and filling them more melatonin during the day. That seems like a recipe to me for problems. Also, without the parents' consent. So I'm pretty sure the parents didn't consent to you giving these kids hop flower, valerian root, and ashwagandha. And this looks like, too, this is marketed toward adults. So I don't even know if this is safe for kids, to be honest with you. Because it's not marketed toward kids. Or at least this is not a kid's brand, so I don't even know a healthy dose. So yeah, so it sounds like these kids were sleeping all day. And what were these teachers doing while they should have been teaching these kids? Huh? Like, that's what I'm curious. What were they doing? Did anything happen to these kids while they were drugged and at school? This is insane. This is really insane. And I hope that these teachers are prosecuted to the fullest extent the law allows for introducing drugs to these children. And then, 2, violating the parents' rights. And this is the problem with these public schools. These people think they have some sort of authority over your kid, that they feel compelled and empowered to do this stuff without any repercussions. So, KHU legal analyst Cameron Lowe looked at the legal ramifications for the alleged incident. She said, "I don't see anything that makes these actions criminal, but there seems to be no actual potential harm to the children." What? How could this not be criminal? As far as civil liability, parents could sue the teachers or school district for negligence, gross negligence, or intentional infliction of emotional distress, and arguably a civil assault. Keeping in mind, teachers and districts have significant civil immunity protections in Texas. Oh God, I hope these people do not get away with it. I really do, because that would be horrendous. So the district provided a policy that said the policy they said was violated. No employee shall give any student prescription medication, non-prescription medication, which is what this is, herbal substances, anabolic steroids, or dietary supplements of any type except as authorized by this or the other district. So they definitely violated their policy. As to what law, we will have to wait and see. But I hope they find something, man, because these teachers have no right whatsoever to be drugging these kids during the day it- it- at all. And what reason are they drugging them? That little girl seems sweet. She didn't seem like she was a problem child. And even if they were a problem child, your job as a teacher is to educate these kids. If you don't want to do your job, don't get into teaching. Well, it seems like their career in education is over. Thank God. But it should have never started to begin with. Jesus. I tell you, this world is absolutely crazy. And it just gets crazier and crazier. And things like this make me glad that my daughter is not a product of the public school system. We do a hybrid program. She spends 2 days in a Christian school, and then 3 days we homeschool off of a curriculum, and it's great. It's fantastic because she spends enough time with us where we're still the primary influence in her life. And then when she is in school, it's not a long time, and she's getting to form relationships, make friends, and she's in a Christian environment. That's good. But these public schools, man, they're not the same, and in addition to this nonsense, you also have to deal with the political nonsense that they're bringing into the curriculums and bringing into the classroom. And then you have to deal with Pride Month, and whatever nonsense they try to pull then. Also, I always try to mention this because a lot of people are ignorant of it. When you send your kid to the public school system, this is a government study, you can look it up just in case you think I'm wrong. I believe it's from 2017. But when you send your kids to the public school system, they stand a 1 in 10 chance of being the victim of sexual misconduct. So you don't only have to worry about your kids getting drugged, bullying, uh, LGBTQ plus propaganda, school shootings, but you also have to worry about sexual misconduct. So those are at least 5 reasons you should not be sending your kids into the public school system. At the very least, choose private school if you don't want to homeschool. So that way your kids stand a viable chance and aren't subject to the whims of these psychopaths. I'm not saying all teachers do, by the way. There are some great teachers that aren't brainwashed, that wouldn't do stuff like this. I understand that this is a rarity. Stuff like this doesn't happen, but the sexual misconduct, not rare. Happens all the time. And it's awful. Speaking of drugging our kids, this is a report that I found pretty interesting. So this is from Robbie Starbuck, and he says, the NIH finally admits fluoride is associated with lower IQ in children. I want to just discuss how people have been treated up until now if they didn't give their kids fluoride, because it's a microcosm of the incurious cult-like attitude that's become pervasive in medicine and government. Here's my experience. My wife and I always refuse fluoride from the dentist for our kids. We never let them drink fluoridated water, and we never gave them any toothpaste or mouthwash that had fluoride in it. Doctors and dentists argued with me about it more than one occasion, despite all of our kids having perfect teeth and straight A's. I tried to no avail to show them that the science that led other countries to remove fluoride from their water, it didn't matter. They didn't want to be right. They needed to be right because they were the experts and I wasn't. Sounds very familiar. Sounds like the same type of nonsense that they pulled with the COVID vaccine. Trust us. Stop asking questions. Trust us. We are the experts. This is safe and effective. Safe and effective. Safe and effective. And it turns out we were right the whole time and they were wrong. And by the way, fluoride in water, this is something This is something that I've been hearing about since I was in high school. I remember learning about how fluoride is bad for you and can cause problems and lower your IQ. So to them, I was a kook for not giving our kids fluoride, a conspiracy theorist for my stance against it. Beyond that industry, government officials have been similarly disinterested in having the slightest curiosity as to why fluoride has been removed in so many other places. They resigned from this fight at best, and at worst, they did the same thing the medical professionals did: treat anybody opposed to mass fluoridation like a kook. And that's the MO. All right. If you are onto something, if you identify something, if you point out something that isn't right, they try to treat you like you're crazy. They gaslight you. They make you feel like a lunatic for having a perfectly reasonable questions. Like, hey, I've read this. Other countries are doing this. Why are we doing it? It's the same too with the trans stuff. On and on for years about how this is bad for kids. And guess what? Oh, come to find out that gender affirming care is actually really bad. You didn't need an expert to tell you that lopping off the breasts of healthy young children is bad for them. Just common sense would tell you that. Common sense would tell you entertaining delusions is not good for the individual. But that's their MO, man. They treat you like you're insane. Continuing, only in recent years have some smaller Republican counties began to listen and remove the fluoride. So here's the truth, and something you need to always remember. All these people will fall in line over the next few years, now that their herd has been told by the NIH that fluoride is in fact tied to negative effects on the IQ of their children. Yeah. And what is going to happen, by the way, to our children? What is going to happen? Are these people going to be held accountable at all? Probably not. They're going to get away with it. They're going to get away with dumbing down our kids. Oh, we didn't know. Science evolves, it changes. We didn't understand. Then you shouldn't have been giving it to them. If you didn't understand the long-term implications of this, then you shouldn't have been putting it in our drinking water that we have really no choice but to drink in certain areas. It just pisses me off, man. Yeah. He goes on to say, they'll pretend they had nothing to do with this. They'll gaslight anyone who says otherwise, and they'll never apologize to the parents who were ahead of them on this. There will be no consequences for what they did or how they treated people. Never forget that, and remember, the next time an expert tries to convince you of something that they're absolutely wrong about. Yeah. Forcing fluoride into public water for decades, despite other countries banning it, often for IQ-related reasons, is a scandal that should result in apologies from the expert class, and many of them should lose their jobs, but they won't. Never forget that. Not only lose it, go to jail. Go to jail for lying and violating your oath to do no harm. And allow us to sue you and compensate. Not that we get much, but still, it's just a principle. If you're one of the experts who engage in this behavior and genuinely want to be better, here's some advice. Humility goes a long way with people, and so does admitting when you screwed up. Apologize to the people you wrote off as kooks, and in the next issue that comes up reminiscent of that. Listen to the person on the other side and examine the evidence that may or may not back their position before you judge them. Some will be wrong, but some will be right. And the real expert isn't afraid of that. A real expert values truth above dogma. Also, real scientists value the truth above dogma. If you're a real scientist, you're not going to repeat experiments to get the results that you want. That's not what you're going to do. The science should be used in the pursuit of truth, not to confirm or affirm the results that you want. That's not science, it's propaganda. And this is the finding. The NTP monograph concluded that higher levels of fluoride exposure, such as drinking water, contain more than 1.5 milligrams of fluoride per liter, are associated with lower IQ in children. The NTP review was designed to evaluate total fluoride exposure from all sources and was not designed to evaluate the health effects of fluoridated drinking water alone. It is important to note, however, that there were there were sufficient data to determine if the there were insufficient data to determine if the low fluoride level of 0.7 milligrams currently recommended for U.S. community water supplies has negative effects on children's IQ. I'm gonna go out on a whim here and assume it probably does, especially if you compound that with time over the period of let's say 18 years or 26 years until their brain is fully developed. They're drinking this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to assume that it probably has negative implications. But these people, I am hard pressed to believe they will ever actually admit this. And when people start pressing them about it, when their foot is to the fire, they'll backtrack, lie, obfuscate, and gaslight you for noticing. Or they'll do stuff like this. This is a really crazy story that absolutely 100% needs to be talked about. All right. So this is from Disclosed TV. Internet Archive hacked. A pop-up claims there was a catastrophic security breach, and now the site is down with a temporary offline notice. So I don't know how many of you guys have ever used the Wayback Machine, but basically this website archives 916 billion web pages over time, so that we have an archive of data that we can go to. I've used this primarily for Twitter because when people delete their tweets, you can at least go back to the Wayback Machine and look up what was deleted. Well, maybe not, because of this hack. They wrote, "Have you ever felt like the Internet Archive runs on sticks and is constantly on the verge of suffering a catastrophic security breach? It just happened. See 31 million of you on IHDP." So yeah, they got hacked, and my question is, who is trying to erase information from the internet? What data do they not want people to see? What data are they going to attempt to delete? If there is any data lost as a result of this, I would really like to know. And I hope these people, I have to believe that these people were wise enough to have backups of all of their data. But it is alarming, because the MO of people that are trying to lie to you is to scrub the internet of any information pertaining to their lives, is to erase it so that there's no trace of it. So you can't call them on their BS. And when you think, no, I remember you saying, they're like, no, we never said that. And then you go to look and you're like, oh, they didn't say it. And you start to feel like you're crazy. That's what they want. They want you to feel like a crazy person for noticing. But don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them confuse you. Don't let them lie to you. Okay? Pay attention. Write stuff down if you have to. And hopefully this web archive gets brought back to life, because, man, I would hate to see us lose the Wayback Machine. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about relationships. So over the years, how we have dated has changed quite dramatically. And a post I'm about to show you shows just how significant things have changed since the 1930s. And dating has changed radically just in the past 10 years alone. Thankfully, and me and my buddy talk about this all the time, we're glad we got married, 10 years ago, because we couldn't imagine dating in today's time period. I couldn't imagine playing the game with Tinder and in all these social media platforms and dealing with the nonsense that modern people have to deal with when trying to find somebody to enter into a relationship with. And this video that I'm about to show you kind of highlights how significant things have changed and will lead to a larger conversation about if these changes are good or not. All right. This is shared from Wall Street Silver, how couples met from the 1930s to 2024. Is this really an improvement, and how do we? Dang, man. That is nuts. 60% of people meet or couples meet online now. 60%. And then the other 13% through friends, coworkers, and then bars. I mean, people are more successful meeting at bars than they are through family, school, churches, neighbors, and that's crazy to me. That is crazy town that things have changed this much. Now, the only thing I don't really like about this video is it's almost like motivational music, but this is not a good. This is actually a very negative development because, and let me explain, because some of you are probably going to disagree with me, and that's fine. But so in the beginning, we see that most couples met through family. And I think that's really important because they are meeting through people that share common values, common beliefs, common ideology. That's how they're meeting. And then also school. So they have similar interests. So that's another way, or through friends. So usually you're friends with people that have common values, common beliefs. Their neighbors. We used to be tighter knit with our neighbors. Our neighbors knew us. We knew them. The church used to have a stronger hold on culture, and your prospects of finding a good, God-fearing wife or spouse, significant other in the church were really high. And then bars were relatively low, which is good because the type of people that you meet in bars are not the type of people that are going to make a good spouse. And then coworkers actually had the least influence, and that has completely inverted, with family having, very little influence, school having influence, church having almost no influence. The college one actually does surprise me because I know a lot of couples that met through college, so I would expect that would be high. Maybe that's like lumped in, if you combine, school and college are the same thing. So maybe they're specifically talking about high school, but I know a lot of people that have met through college and school. But I do think the diminishment of of people meeting through family is a massive problem, and people connecting with strangers online who they don't know, who nobody knows, is a problem. You don't know their background, you don't know their family, you don't know their neighborhood, you don't know if they you don't know anything about them. You only know the fake persona that they put on for you while you're talking to them over the internet, or who they're pretending to be online for clout or engagement or whatever, because people don't act like themselves online. That's a sad truth that nobody wants to acknowledge. People don't act like how they really are, and many times they act horribly online. And yeah, I believe personally that who you are online, how you act online, is indicative of who you are in real life. So if you are a bad person online, you are a bad person in real life. If you're a scumbag that is, sending inappropriate pictures to women online, you're probably a scumbag in real life. Or if you're a woman and you're posting inappropriate photos online, you're probably a harlot in real life too. So uh, that's a side note. That's but the fact that everybody's meeting online right now is not good. It's not good at all, man. And I actually think family should be the primary way that couples meet. I think one of the mistakes that we have made as a culture is actually moving away from things like arranged marriage. Some of you might be like, "What? Arranged marriage? That's oppressive. That's hard." No, it's not. It's actually a good thing because your family knows you and your family knows what's best for you, and your family understands you probably better than most people. Maybe not now, but then they did. Because the truth is that most of us don't have strong family lives. Most people, most kids nowadays are not raised by their family. They're raised by the public school system. They're raised by their peers. So obviously, friends would take precedent over family because your friends actually better know you than your own family because you spend more time with them. And then when kids come home and they disconnect from, or they come home from school, well, guess what they're doing immediately the moment they get home? They are connecting with their friends through this. And they end up forming stronger, more intimate relationships with their friends, and share more values and more in common with their friends. And then their friends become the primary influence in who they date. And I think this should be inverted. I think the family should. And I think part of that happens when we start bringing order to the family unit and reprioritizing raising our own kids, by homeschooling and spending quality family time together, bringing our wives back home and having them be homemakers rather than career-driven women who grow to, resent um, the family unit and prioritize serving themselves above everything else. And then I think families would be the optimal people to make these types of decisions. And most people, when they think of arranged marriages, they think like, "Oh, I have to marry somebody I hate." All right. I think if you have a good relationship with your parents, and obviously this is a little bit different because we're living in modern times, but if you have a good relationship with your parents will probably have a good idea of what you like, what you don't like, and would have a good idea of what a uh, a good suitor would look like for you. Somebody that would you would be happy with. They would have that idea. Because they have an intimate relationship with you. So and if your parents really love you, and I hope that your parents do, then they would want to set you up with somebody that is going to be good for you. Like what kind of parent would they be? Like if when my daughter grows up and she wants to start dating and enter into a relationship, if I was picking a spouse for her, I'm not going to be like, oh, let me pick somebody that totally has nothing in common with Riley or my daughter. Something that someone that doesn't know anything about her, somebody that's going to treat like you're not going to do that. You're going to try to find somebody that has common values, a shared belief, a good head on their shoulders, somebody that's going to be a good provider. At least that's what I would. Somebody that's going to be able to provide for my daughter, somebody that's going to be able to love her the way that she deserves, and somebody that's going to embody, you know, uh, Christian values and ethics. That's the type of person that I would choose for my daughter. And obviously, I'm not going to set her up with somebody ugly or unattractive. Like nobody would do that. You know, at least if your parents love you, they wouldn't do that. They would try to set you up with somebody that's good, who has shared values. And that's not the case with online dating, because so many people fake and lie about who they actually are. And you can't really know somebody online. It's really difficult to know the ins and outs of that person if you're not spending quality time with them in real life. And maybe that's why part of the dating scene is so abysmal, is because they're engaging with strangers, they have no shared values, and everything is superficial. So I do think this is a bad sign for the future, and I hope some of these things reverse. I really do. I think it would be better. So there's that. All right. Oh, here's another thing. This kind of is like a throw in, but I just saw it and I thought this is kind of awesome. I want to share with you guys. So this is an ad from a company called XXXY Athletics. In honor of XX Day tomorrow, please join us in asking Nike to do the right thing and stand up for girls by sharing our new ad, Dear Nike.
Dear Nike.
Dear Nike,
Dear Nike, why won't you stand up for me?
why won't you stand up for me? Why won't you?
Why do you claim to support women and girls? Yet when we need you most,
You remain silent.
Today, males are claiming our identity.
our sports,
Our spaces.
men and boys are stealing opportunities, medals, trophies, and our future.
And it's not fair or just.
In fact, it's often dangerous. Yet you refuse to use your platform to stand up.
You say you're for social justice and progress.
So why do you allow men's rights to come before ours? See, with a big platform,
Comes an even bigger responsibility.
you have a chance to do the right thing, not just do the easy thing.
So we're asking you, Nike.
So we're asking you, Nike,
So we're asking you, Nike.
as the biggest voice in all of sports,
Will you stand up for me? Will you stand up for me?
will you stand up for me? Will you stand up for me? Will you?
Will you?
Will you just do it?
That was clever at the end, man. Will you just do it? No, that was clever. That was good, man. Yeah. And the answer is no, they won't, because they're pathetic cowards that have been taken over by the woke mind virus. Because they are controlled, and they would rather virtue signal and affirm the false identities of transgender individuals than actually stand up for real biological women. Because again, they are pathetic cowards. But it is cool to see these people actually, speaking out and taking them to task. But unfortunately, I think it's going to fall on deaf ears. All right, moving on. So we are going to. So I've seen a lot of pandering over the years. One of the most infamous moments of pandering that comes to my memory is Hillary Clinton pulling out hot sauce from her purse. It was peak pandering. Recently, we saw, I think, Kamala Harris drinking beer or something on the Colbert Show. So there's levels of pandering that you're just you expect it from politicians. It's just what they do. They pander. I remember Elizabeth Warren drinking a beer, and it would just seem so unnatural. It's just like, how do you do, fellow human? I'm going to enjoy this delicious brewski. And it just seems weird. It just seems so out of place. So this is what politicians do. They pander because they're soulless NPCs that are programmed to do whatever their handlers tell them to do. But there's pandering that just takes new heights, and I think Tim Walz now is taking the crown of victory. Tim Walz will stream World of Warcraft on Twitch to win over a new voting demographic, lazy gamers. One, how dare you? Gamers are not lazy. We are innovative. Two, wow. Actually, I'm impressed by this. Tim Walz is just like us, guys. He plays World of Warcraft. And because of that, I'm now going to throw out all my preconceived notions of this administration. I'm going to ignore the rampant inflation. I'm going to ignore the violence. I'm going to ignore the open borders. I'm going to ignore babies being torn apart. And I'm going to vote for Harris Walls for the presidency 2024 because Tim Walls plays World of Warcraft. I mean, what does he mean? Is he going to mean a orc warrior or a blood elf paladin? Because if he means a blood elf paladin, then I'm really on board. I will throw out all my inhibitions and just totally change my mind. At least that's what they want you to do. But that's not going to work. Nobody playing World of Warcraft is going to be like, wow, guys, Tim Walls. Tim Walls is playing World of Warcraft. We have to vote for him. He's just like us. Look, he's even streaming out. He's hip with the kids. And by the way, most people that play World of Warcraft, they're like grown men now, adults. I know because I play World of Warcraft. So we're adults. We're grown-ups now, and we're not convinced. You cannot fool us. We're not stupid, and we don't care if you stream this on Twitch. We don't care if you main a a Tauren shaman. We don't care about that. That's not impressive to us because we can see that you are clearly pandering for votes that you're not. I would be shocked if he got a single vote from this. I want to know. I want to know if anybody votes for Tim Walls because he played World of Warcraft. Like, I would be floored if somebody's mind was changed that way. It's the same thing too with some, not all celebrities, because there are some celebrities where they are worshipped. All right, they are on. They have a godlike status, and they are worshipped. So if they tell you to vote for somebody, their NPC fans will vote for whoever they tell them to vote. But the average celebrity endorsement, I don't think, moves the needle in any particular direction. Doing things like this, playing World of Warcraft on Twitch, is not going to convince anybody that your policies are good. It's not going to suspend our ability to recognize reality. It's not going to change the fact that we are struggling to put groceries on the table for our children. It's not going to change the fact that this administration wants to murder babies in the womb. It's not going to change the fact that they are allowing illegal aliens to invade our country, flood it with drugs, and kill our own country's people, and take our jobs, and use our resources, and reap our tax benefits. It's not going to change any of that, and it's certainly not going to make any of these people more likable. It just makes them look pathetic. Pathetic. And listen, I like the game, but if you're going to try to win people like World of Warcraft, this is it's well over 10 years, 20 years, I think. It's been out a long time. Like, play something modern. Like, they just dropped Dragon Ball Z Sparkling Zero. That's a game that maybe, would at least get you some views. But I don't even think anybody would watch this. So just honestly retarded. This is retarded. This makes no logical sense whatsoever. So huge L for the Harris administration, but they take L's like it's their job. And I'm here for it though. I love to see them fail, so this is going to be an overwhelming failure. Speaking of fail, Velma has reportedly been canceled at Max after 2 seasons. I'm actually surprised it made it that long. I thought it would get canceled after season 1. I did not see it having a shelf life beyond season 1. I didn't. And by the way, just let me refresh your memory. I'm going to play you a trailer from season 1, just so that you can remember uh, what they were trying to run with.
My name is Velma Dinkley, and I've decided to finally share the bone-chilling events that drove me to assemble the greatest team of spooky mystery solvers ever. This is my story, told my way. She has no brain! Oh, I'm not dissing her. She has no brain! And it starts with a murder, bitch. If I can't convince people I didn't kill Brenda, I'm going to be arrested.
I know, but I also know how to find out who did kill Brenda. I think it has something to do with drugs, which I hate.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but Velma is not white, and neither is Shaggy. Shaggy is black, and he's not. His name isn't even Shaggy. It's like Norbert or Norbit or something.
Hey, Fred.
Do I know you?
It's Velma from school.
I have a disease where I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
Is it called rudeness?
I have an illness!
Hey, Daphne.
And there you have the classic villainization of white people and making them appear stupid. That's not an accident. That's intentional.
I need a favor.
Stop. I know you think I'm a huge bitch who ditched you to be cool.
What? That's so not true. I was being sarcastic. You can't read tone in graffiti.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a second here. What? Wait a second. Ew. So it's also gay. Like, what the hell? They snuck that in there.
Jinkies!
They threw a Muslim in there.
Those doors where you push in a brick and it opens.
Fred, wait!
I have a plan.
I love danger.
Velma twerking.
You might have more success with this if you went in just a little less judgy.
Okay, Daphne, I'm the brains of this operation. You're just the look, style, and effortless charm.
We do make a good team, don't we?
In this
Oh,
day and age,
now
you can't
Daphne's a
speculate
lesbian.
about someone's sexuality unless they're famous or Peppermint Patty.
The rules feel a bit muddy.
Muddy? Oh, sorry I'm not a drunk on the verge of losing custody like every other woman solving murders these days.
Wow, it really is shocking to me why this show did not perform well. Why it got canceled after 2 seasons. It went 1 season too long, longer than it needed to. But just in that trailer, you got a really good sneak peek of everything that show had to offer. Homosexuality, denigrating white people, race swapping, LGBT nonsense. They had it all. They were hitting all the DEI checkpoints, and they did it masterfully. So I'm not sad to see it go. So there goes another woke show. Another one bites the dust. And at some point, you just got to ask yourself, when are these people going to start taking the hint? When is it going to start thinking into their brains that nobody wants this crap? It's not funny. It's not funny at all. We're tired of the race swapping. We're tired of denigrating white people. We're tired of diversity just for diversity's sake. I don't care about diversity in general. I don't have a problem with that. I care about it when it's forced, when I know you're doing it, when I know you're doing it to virtue signal. Then it annoys me. Like I don't need things to be diverse. Like I could be completely comfortable like walking into an all-black church. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Or walking into an all-white church. Or walking into a mixed church. I don't think of these things. I'd be fine with it. But what really baffles my mind is when people walk into the room and they're like, oh, like it's too white in here. We need to add some blacks and some Asians. and some Latinos. Imagine we actually did that, but with like black people. Imagine we went into a predominantly black area. Like, oh, it's not diverse enough in here. We need to add some whites and get some white. Like that would never happen. Never, ever, ever happen. So, uh, yeah, I think that show deserved to fail, and I'm glad that it did. In more good news, I don't have this pulled up here, but I think it's. I'll talk about it later. All right, we're gonna move on to our last story of the day, and this is going to be about your favorite blue healers. So, The Blaze recently published an article about Bluey that I think is worth reading. And I will, before I go in, so they're getting torn up by this about this article. I don't entirely disagree with them on everything, uh, but I do disagree with some points. So this is the post on Twitter: how a beloved children's cartoon turns fathers into mothers, and what the Bible says about it. And they make a comment in here about Bluey uh, being a girl, but being the color blue. But you know, she's called Bluey because she's a blue healer, as this community note rightly identifies. Love that community note. So Bluey is so named because she's a blue healer, a type of Australian cattle dog. So like many girls, takes her coloring from her dad. Chili, the mom, is a red healer. The younger pup, Bingo, takes her coloring from her mom. It's not gender commentary. No. But I think people think way too deeply about that specific issue. It's fine. Nobody cares. We understand that it's a girl. And I don't think they're trying to do anything nefarious. I don't. So let's get into this article. All right. We need to get into the details of the beautiful biblical balancing of the life-giving presence of motherhood and the training territory expanding and leadership of fatherhood. Since the Western world catches collective amnesia around the profile of this historic father, we've begun to move past portrayals of fathers as bumbling idiots of the shows in the 1980s, 1990s to a new kind of engaged, empathetic, and present father. There's only one problem. With this new ideal father, he embodies almost all of the elements of the traditional mother, purged of the essence of elements of the historic father. Now, I am happy that we are moving beyond these bumbling moronic fathers in television shows and cartoons and into more present and engaged dads, which Bandit, the father in Bluey is, and I would say he's actually a pretty good example of a dad. I do. Now there are some things that I particularly don't like about his character, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think overall much better than where we are coming from. One show that I think doesn't get a lot of good press, or not good press. They don't get bad press, but it just goes unnoticed and nobody really talks about anymore. Is a Little Bear. The father in that was actually a really good example of a present and loving father. He worked. He's a fisherman, I believe, and he had a really good relationship with Little Bear, and stoic and just a good example. I remember one episode, him and Little Bear are working together to surprise the mother on their anniversary, and Little Bear and him are going along with this plan. It was just like really wholesome, really good quality writing for those shows and a positive depiction of a father. So when I started watching Bluey with my kids, I was really encouraged to actually see them depict a father in a positive way. Now, Bandit, I don't think he takes on the role of a mother. I don't think that at all. I think he is a dad and a present dad at that, but he's also an archaeologist. So his job is a little weird, and it wouldn't make for an entertaining children's show if they showed him doing archaeology all day. It seems like it shows snippets of him being home with his kids and engaging with his kids. So, the poster child for this new depiction can be found in the mega popular kids program Bluey. The dad bandit is seen constantly nurturing an always present playmate to his two daughters, Bluey and Bingo. He is so present, in fact, that fans of the show often joke about when Bandit finds time to work, and in the show, it's clear that the mother has less time to play than the dad. Well, it does seem like Chili takes care of the home. I'm not really sure what Chili does, to be honest with you guys. But I will say the only thing that I really agree with is that he is an always present playmate. And I do think that this can sometimes be negative, not all the times. And I've commented on this before. All right, I think one, dads do need to play with their kids. I think that is actually important in their development. Play is good. It helps kids understand the world. So we do need to be involved in play. I'm thankful that we're moving past a time where dads, what it means to be a dad is to come home, drink some beers, and watch TV. Like I'm glad that that archetype of a father is going out the window, and we have more present and engaged dads. I think that's a good thing. But I also think your kids shouldn't primarily see you as a plaything. And I think in a lot of cases in Bluey, that is how they or how they're made to perceive Bandit, as their plaything. So I think this is actually an argument this writer actually does have some ground to. Because even I noticed that my daughter, after watching Bluey, always wanted to play. And I had to set her straight and say, no, like there are times for playing. I play with my daughter all the time, by the way. So for those of you that might think like, oh, I play with my daughter a lot. We build forts. Play board games with her. Play video games with her. I play this game called Pillow, where I pretend she's a pillow, and we have fun. All right. So, but there is a time though that your children need to see you as not just a thing to be played with. They need to recognize your authority as the dad and leader of the home, which means you have to maintain a balance of showing them and teaching them appropriate times for play and times where it's not appropriate. And they need to recognize that authority. And you need to demonstrate times of stoicism. And my daughter now is at a point where if I say no, I have to go do something, she gets it. She doesn't pester me. She doesn't hound me. She respects it because she understands my authority as her father. All right. So our culture loves this depiction of fatherhood. It empties the father character of all the elements of traditional masculinity, masculine father we've grown uncomfortable with, and at the same time, it provides freedom for the mother to get out in the world and explore her individual passions. Everyone wins, right? Now, I don't think that's really a fair characterization of the parents in the show because they both seem pretty involved. Chili gets involved too. So they're just involved in different degrees. So it depends on whether there's an objective ideal of fatherhood and motherhood. And if there is, then symbolic depictions seeking to reverse these objective profiles are problematic. Embracing these kinds of portrayals, especially in highly symbolic medium like in a cartoon, will go a long way in shaping our institution around the essence of these roles. Now, today, almost no one thinks there are objective ideals or archetypes. And if they are, and they personally resonate with the father, mother, and daughter depictions in Bluey, then everything I'm about to say will be dissonant and probably offensive. Well, I don't take offense, so we should be good. So let me say this from the outset that even in the conservative Christian world, my position is a tiny minority, maybe less than 1%. So feel free to stop reading if you're getting triggered. Not getting triggered, man. Chill out. It's not that serious. All right, let me lay out these three premises I believe about this topic. And if you disagree with any of these, you'll likely disagree with my conclusion. Masculinity and femininity are not social constructs or primarily biological concepts, but are family concepts designed to create a certain dynamic and construct a highly functional multi-generational family team. I agree with that. The Bible presents meta descriptions of masculinity, fatherhood, and femininity, motherhood, through symbolic characters, primarily rooted in the story of Genesis. I agree with that. Meta depictions of these roles are good and necessary to give culture at large something to concrete to aim at. Even though all of us as individuals will find some elements of these roles dissonant with our desire or even innate wiring. And this thing is long. I don't know if I derive my first premise from a theological principle in the first mention. When God created male and female, he actually revealed the purpose for gender, and that was to create a certain kind of family team. Yeah, so I don't think Bluey deviates from that. So, nobody deviates from that. So, Adam, man of humanity, Eve, giver of life, Adam, exalted father. Abraham is literally described in our language as a meta father. As he progresses in this role, his name is elevated again to Abraham, or father of many nations. This brings me to, all right, here's the meat. This brings me to my third premise and back to Bluey. I first heard of the red flags in Bluey from my two teenage daughters who watched an episode after hearing from so many Christian families who love the show, and they immediately saw what was happening. The first statement was something like they treat their dad like a plaything, which I actually do agree with that premise, by the way. I do think they do need to do a better job in making it so that a bandit's not treated like just a plaything, and they do respect his authority. But again, it's a children's show. I've watched one 3-minute clip on YouTube from a different episode and saw what they were so alarmed by. There are hundreds of interesting elements of fatherhood that one can glean from studying how God interacts with the meta father Abraham, but I'm pretty sure Bandit is in no way tethered to this understanding of fatherhood. And I would probably agree, but that's not the show that they're trying to make. I don't think. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that the creators of this show are taking their cues from the Bible. And if you watch the show kind of understanding that and just kind of watching it as entertainment, then you understand that it's just a show that's made for entertainment. It's just a show to depict present parents in the lives of their children, which I think is, again, a net positive, something that we don't often see in children's programming. And this tethering is not hard to do. When I'm in the Middle East, I see it everywhere. All the good and toxic depictions of fatherhood I see from those native to this region, I recognize as coming from these Abrahamic stories. It's increasingly hard to see in the Christian West. Blah, 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 blah. But let me say one more thing that concerns me. One reaction I've received is from people who think it's absurd to criticize a cartoon. I don't think so. I think, obviously, yeah, people are watching these cartoons. These cartoons often, do have influence on our children, and we need to recognize that. So in the same way, creating a daughter named Blue using the color blue is totally lost on us. It goes right past our conscious awareness. If we do think about it, we think it's cool that they are reversing the gender stereotypes. We're playing checkers with those who are playing chess, and we've been checkmated over and over again. This is a case where I actually think this guy's thinking a little too deep into it. I don't think they're trying to do that. I just think they set out to create a children's show about blue healers, and the girl blue healer happens to be blue. I don't think there's anything nefarious going on there. And I don't think that Bandit is necessarily a bad depiction of fatherhood. Maybe in the one area where he his children want to play with him all the time, but play with our kids is good, so there has to be moderation there. But I think overall he is a pretty good example of being a dad. He teaches his kids moral lessons. He plays with them. He's a loving husband. He works. He's a provider. So all those things are true. Now, I guess now that I think about it, there is one. So I don't know how many of you guys have watched. If you're a parent and you have kids, you probably have watched all three or four seasons they're at. But the last season did actually bother me because of the way Bandit did act. So hopefully they don't continue this trend. So maybe watch it with just cautionary, with caution. If they don't correct the ship, But at the end of the last season, eh, spoilers by the way, they're planning to move, and the kids don't want to move. The wife doesn't want to move. Bandit has a great job opportunity, and the whole episode is centered around this move. And then ultimately, at the end of the episode, he decides not to move, not to take the job, and stay in the house that they live in. Which I do think actually was kind of a weak moment for him, not a strong moment. Because he had the opportunity to lead his kids on an adventure, experience something new, and he gave into the pressure of his family, despite doing ultimately what was best for them by providing them a new life with better opportunities. I thought that was a weak moment for that character. Yes, this is a children's show, but we're parents. We watch this stuff. Our kids watch this stuff. So overall, I'd say see for yourself. Make that deduction. And I don't entirely disagree with this guy, but also I do think there's some reaches that he made, and yeah, that's it. That's all I have for now. I hope you guys have a blessed night. If you like this stream, please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. That helps me grow. We go live Tuesday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is very possible, though, by the way, Friday I will not go live. That's up in the air. If you don't see me, it is what it is. I have other stuff to do. Oh, and also, keep an eye on the storm. And pray for all those who are going to get hit with the hurricane in Florida today. That's something that is unnerving. I believe it's been downgraded to a Cat 4, but still, I have friends, I have family there, and I pray that they are safe, they are hunkered down, and that everything will be okay. But keep them in your prayers, and obviously continue to pray for the people of North Carolina who are still reeling from Hurricane Helene. All right. That is all I have for today. I hope you guys have a blessed night. Deuces.